That awkward moment when your cat decides to steal the show right when you want to start filming. I mean, I definitely gave her those 5 minutes of fame, but I had work to do, so Miss Suki definitely needed to get her bum out of my view. Hi everyone, I'm Pamela and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm doing a little journal with me. I'm planning on creating a page for Junk Journal January, a month-long journal challenge hosted by Mag Journals over on Instagram. Now, before I start, yes, I know I'm working in a regular journal and not just a handmade junk journal, but let's just ignore that and move on to the actual page I'm creating. So the theme for today is actually life lessons, and the first thing I'm doing is taking a look through some magazines. The first one I looked through was an old Flow magazine, and I was tearing out a beautiful vintage looking image of this woman holding a book. And then next I'm also scanning this Rituals magazine. I got it from a friend of mine because she knows just how obsessed I am with journaling, and she was like, here, you need this. So then I just looked and looked and looked until I found a page that also immediately inspired me, and then I just teared it out because that's what I do. So moving on, I must admit I had some difficulties deciding which image to actually use for the page, so I just tried some things, moved stuff around because that's what I do. Obviously there was only room for one image, so I had to make a careful decision. As you can see, I ended up going for the vintage one, mainly because the muted colors were a bit easier on the eyes and I just felt like the image really fit the prompt life lessons a bit more. So then I just cut off the accompanying text with the message and decided to glue the magazine into my journal. The downside, however, of filming a journal with me for the first time is that you're just so unprepared, because I realized I did not even have anything to glue on, so I just grabbed that old Rituals magazine again, went to a page without an image and just glued. Also, on another note, please tell me I'm not the only crazy person who loves just watching someone glue on fast forward. I mean, man, I wish I was that efficient in real life. Would be so cool to be that productive. So when the page was glued down, I was thinking how I could make the page look more beautiful, as it was still quite bland, to be fair. So then my eye actually fell on that Rituals magazine again, as the cover actually had the words "Give rise to happiness" embossed on it in gold. So I decided to cut it out and try to find a placement for it on the page, as I thought it would give some nice, flair and texture to have actually something in 3D on the page as well. But still, just pasting it onto the page wasn't fulfilling enough for me, as you can probably tell by the excessive amount of finger tapping I do. So I whipped out my origami paper a friend of mine brought for me from Japan, and I decided to look for patterns that would fit the red background nicely. It ended up being a tie between a striped origami piece and some beautiful light blue with golden specks. In the end, the striped one ended up winning after some deliberate planning out of the page. This is honestly how I journal all the time. Barely anything gets glued down without being moved around. Legitimately 10 times. And trust me when I say that, because I was filming, I actually worked even quicker than I normally would, because I think in real life, without a camera, being fixated on my hands, this page would have taken at least twice as long. Also, yes, you're seeing it correctly. I tore the origami paper. Please don't sue me for this. Again, something I just love is torn paper. In my daily life, I'm often very meticulous and want everything to be perfect and well organized. So that's why I just love that unfinished look of torn paper while I'm journaling, as I can just unwind for a bit and forget the stress of daily life and just be creative and just be very happy in general. So then after that I glued down the piece of origami paper as well as the piece of embossed writing, but unfortunately as that red paper was cardstock, it kept popping up, as I would like to call it. It just would not stay glued down on the right side of the page, and it did not matter what I did, it just would not stick. So I was deliberating on pasting some washi tape on top, as that's often my go-to option, but then my eye actually fell on my remaining 2 stickers from Japan. I must admit I had the intention on using them today in this spread, but only was reminded of that fact because of this peculiar situation. So then I decided to stick one of them down, and I must admit I love how this one fits the color scheme. I've never had the opportunity to use this sticker before, as my pages are often too colorful and I just want my stickers to blend in with the vibe of the page. Still, I wanted to use some washi tape because a page is not created by me if there isn't some washi involved. So I unstuck, is that even a word though, part of the sticker and pasted some washi tape down and put the sticker back over it to create that layered look. Also, take a shot, or even better, take a sip of water every time I tap with my fingers during this video. I honestly had no clue that's a habit of mine and just how often I do that. So moving on to the right page, I tore some brown paper from a brown paper bag and decided to include 1 or 2 stamps I got sent a while ago in a Happy Meal package from Megan. I still have a few of them left, so I really wanted to use one. I ended up going for a stamp with an athlete on it, as it kind of fit the life lesson I wanted to write down. Then next I whipped out my Stabilo fine liners. I've had these things since high school, so they're like prehistoric artifacts right now. They still work perfectly fine though, and I've only had to replace the black one once. So using that same replaced black pen, I wrote down "remember" in fake calligraphy. I always write the word in cursive and then trace around downstrokes to create that faux look. I must admit I actually tried working with a calligraphy set once and it turned out horrible, so I'm sticking to this fake style for now. So then after gluing down the page, I felt it needed something more. So I sorted through the washi tapes I had on hand, but none of them really fit the vibe I was trying to achieve. And also, yes, I was too lazy to retrieve my other ones from my room, so I needed to get creative and decided to create fake washi by tearing off some more strips of the origami paper. So I tore off 2 sets of that paper and actually glued it down on the brown paper, so that it looked as if it actually held that paper down as if it was washi tape and that there was no glue involved. Am I making sense? Gosh, I don't even know. So then my eye caught the final sticker actually, and I was like, you're going into my journal as well, whether you want it or not. So I just stuck it down directly under the stamp. But guess what? The page is not done yet, so I got another Happy Meal package from Megan a while ago and this beautiful page of botanical drawings was included. And considering it's her journal challenge, I decided to at least glue down a flower onto the page, as Megan is obviously the botanical and vintage queen of the journaling community. I'll leave her links down below so you can actually see what I'm talking about. I must admit, cutting out this flower was just so much work, and I'm not even like that perfect in the cutting out of it. I was like, you know what, white space and white lines around it are perfectly fine. So I really applaud people who are just so perfect and meticulous. So then the final thing I did was write down the life lesson, but as I was talking to my mum at the same time, I actually messed up and had to figure out a way to cover up my mistake. The answer? Washi tape, actually. And that actually concludes my very first journal with me. If you've watched until now, please know that I love and appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And you know what? Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. And I truly, truly hope I will see you all in my next video. Goodbye!